Today we're going to be talking about nystagmus. Nystagmus means nod, so it's kind of the nod you get when you're falling asleep and then your head goes back. We don't have time to show all the forms of nystagmus, so we're only going to talk about the localizing forms. So there are localizing forms of nystagmus that tell you where the lesion is, and there are non-localizing forms of nystagmus which do not tell you where the lesion is. The non-localizing forms of nystagmus are way more common. They're like gaze-evoked nystagmus. But in primary position, there are localizing nystagmus. So all the gaze-evoked nystagmus, upbeat and upbeat, in up gaze, downbeat and down gaze, horizontal jerk beat nystagmus, those don't localize at all. The localizing ones depend on the waveform, the morphology, what you see of the nystagmus. And so we're just going to cover the ones that are localizing. As you know, we named the nystagmus for the fast phase. So downbeat beats down, a slow phase up followed by a downbeat fast phase. So slow and fast. So the fast phase and downbeat is towards down. It'll also be worse when you look down. That's Alexander's law. So downbeat nystagmus localizes to cervicomedullary junction. And even though downbeat can be seen in other posterior fossa lesions, I'm only showing you the most common localizations. Downbeat, D, cervicomedullary junction, C. And upbeat, the fast phase is going up. These are in primary position. They're not gaze-evoked. This is primary position. Upbeat usually localizes to the vermis of cerebellum, although it can be in the posterior fossae, including the medulla. Upbeat U, vermis, V, vermis of cerebellum. And we have convergence, retraction nystagmus. It's not really a nystagmus, it's a nystagmoid movement. So the eyes converge and then retract because we have co-firing of all the muscles of three. Medial rectus makes it converge, and if you fire the superior and inferior rectus at the same time, it retracts the globe. So convergence, retraction, nystagmus, C equals the dorsal midbrain. D, dorsal midbrain. C, convergence, retraction, nystagmus. Then we have seesaw nystagmus, which looks like a seesaw. So one eye is going up, and then there'll be a torsion, and the other eye is doing the exact opposite, so it's like a seesaw. This seesaw nystagmus S localizes to the third ventricular area, or the paracellar region. Seesaw S, third ventricular paracellar region, T. There are also some other cerebellar nystagmuses that localize that don't match up with the letters. So rebound and periodic alternating nystagmus and the Bruns-Cushing nystagmus. The Bruns-Cushing actually does match up because Bruns-Cushing B matches the cerebellopontine angle, CPA, and the most common cause is acoustic neuroma. Rebound looks like periodic alternating nystagmus, except it's gaze-evoked. So periodic alternating nystagmus, first it'll be horizontal jerking to the left, then it'll slow down, do nothing, and then it'll beat to the right. It alternates periodically. That can be acquired or congenital. The acquired form localizes the cerebellum, and baclofen is the treatment. Rebound is like periodic alternating nystagmus. It beats, horizontal jerk in one direction, then you come back to the center, and then it starts beating the other direction. But as opposed to periodic alternating nystagmus, which alternates with periodicity, rebound is evoked by gaze. So it's like the basketball. It hits the board and then rebounds back. So the basketball hits gaze evoked to the left, comes back to primary, and starts beating rebound to the right. That is also a cerebellar form of nystagmus. The Bruns-Cushing nystagmus is a gaze-evoked nystagmus and a gaze-paretic nystagmus. So we got a larger amplitude, slower frequency on gaze to the right, and a gaze-evoked, higher frequency, smaller amplitude nystagmus on gaze to the left. The combination of gaze-evoked and gaze-paretic nystagmus we call the Bruns-Cushing nystagmus, and that localizes to the cerebellopontine angle. All of the other forms of nystagmus are kind of not localizing. MRI, posterior fossa, drugs, toxins, that's what you should be thinking about. So in terms of localization, you really should be thinking about downbeat, upbeat, convergence, retraction, seesaw, rebound, periodic alternating nystagmus, and the Bruns-Cushing nystagmus. Everybody else is non-localizing.